Hi everybody. Is my microphone working? Yeah. See my head there? It's Sab in Paris here, and I've been meaning to do these for quite a while. Get back into doing. I'm just seeing that I'm live. Let me just show you how this thing works. If I share my screen here, you can see that there I am. I'm live. That's me. And so I'm going to close that, I think. No, maybe I won't close it because I might read it to you. So I've been meaning to. Hello, I've got somebody watching already. You're probably going to run away when I say that, but I've been meaning to get back to doing these for a while. Sabsangs, I'm calling them, and I'll tell you what that means in a minute. I've been feeling that I wanted to add a moment together for the last few months now. I did them a while ago. It was great, but then things changed and I got away from it. But I enjoy watching some other people's along the same lines as what I hope this will be. And I thought I would do it, but on my terms, very much based around creativity and also connectivity. I've got these two catchwords at the moment. Creativity has been my catchword for many, many years now. And I kind of build my life around the word creativity, and I spend my life creating stuff and sharing it and learning as well. And so I wanted to build it around that. But I think I want it to be a very, based around creativity, but also the deeper stuff and also the lighter stuff and anything in between. And I want it to be a place where you ask questions. So for me, creativity has always been a two-way process. If I create something, I share it and I get feedback. And the best feedback I can possibly get is that someone has created something inspired in some way by my sharing my creativity. And you know what? They sharing the stuff they've done with me will inspire me to do more. So it's this beautiful circle, virtuous circle, you could call it. So that's very much the idea of this. So I want questions, and I want it to be, I will stimulate the discussion by sharing what I've created during the week. And hopefully I will get questions, because that's the whole point of a satsang. I'm calling it a sapsang because the word satsang already exists. But if I'm into creativity, I shouldn't just be using other people's words or expressions or even formats, right? So I'm calling it a sapsang for what that's worth. And so let me just, I'm gonna actually go to the comments. It's Yaruska. Hi Yaruska, and hi Karen. Great. So I've got two people, and I can see both their names. That's really wonderful. And yeah, because normally to show your names, I'm not sure if I've got a banner for this, but you have to go to, no, I don't think I've got a banner. Normally to show your names, you have to go to streamyard.com/Facebook, I think, and tell them that it's okay to show your names. But I can see your names. So hi, Yaruska. And she says, bonsoir, Sab. Bonsoir. Comment vas-tu? Très bien, j'espère. Et Karen. Hi, how are you doing, Karen? Nice to have you watching along. And yeah, so as I'm saying, this is something a little bit different. Some of you might not have... I'm just seeing that there's comments coming here. That's quite exciting, actually. I'm actually going to... No, I won't. Hang on. So yeah, so this is something, yeah, I've been meaning to do this for a while. It's not me talking about photography. It's not me talking about writing. It's not me interviewing people. It's actually based on creativity, but that can go anywhere it likes. So I'm looking for questions. Let me share my screen with you and give you an idea of, here it comes, of what this is about. As I said, it's the first time I've done this for a while, and the format's changed, and this is what I intend it to be. See if you can see this here. So I'm going to read it. Maybe you can see it, maybe you can't, but I'll read it anyway. Welcome, friend. I believe that being creative on a regular basis is a wonderful way to lead a worthwhile, enriching, and generous life. Join me on this weekly and very human exploration of your and our limitless potential. I will offer examples of what I have created over the last few days. I will also share any notable thoughts, notable to me, that is, ideas or insights I have had recently. These sharings are intended to stimulate questions from you on anything that comes up. I will comment on your questions on creativity and related topics, including productivity, curiosity, and even infinity. Yes. So as I said, from very clear, precise, concrete topics to the most esoteric, spiritual, if you like, although you'll discover what I think of words as time goes on. Anything at all. I don't believe in barriers. I don't believe in boundaries. So, I mean, if I create, if I do a picture, well, the idea for it came from somewhere else and I don't know where. So it all gets mixed up. So I'll comment on your questions on creativity and related topics, including productivity, curiosity, and even infinity. These are words that make me smile. Did you notice I said comment and not answer? These are just words too, but I should mention that I don't have answers to your questions. Maybe you do though. The main reason for opening these moments together, and I intend it to be every weekend, probably on the Sunday, is to share a feeling of connectedness. This is my key word at the moment, and it's very apt, I think, very important these days. I don't think I'm alone in believing the world would be a better place if we all felt closer to everything, to each other, to the planet, to the trees and the flowers and the birds, the insects, the animals. No one is better or worse, or more creative or less spiritual than anyone else. These are just ego games people play. There's nothing wrong with being ambitious or goal setting or deciding on a purpose for our lives. These things can provide useful drive to create great things. Unfortunately, we often forget to appreciate our constant present moments. We're living present moment after present moment. It's not even after, but it seems to be. And but that's really the only time anything creative or otherwise gets done, is in the present moment. If we aim to enjoy these moments to the full, we'll probably end up enjoying most of our lives, which seems like quite a good thing to me. This little introductory speech, which is the text I wrote. It's the first time I'm doing this new format, so I am reading it. Feeling creative? See you at the Infinite Creativity Satsang. You'll be very welcome. So that's the introduction. I'll now close that page. And as I said, I intend it to be a relaxed moment, a moment where we can share. The last time I did this, I had a clear format. There were like numbers from 1 to 9 and okay, time's up. Now we have to move on to this. I want to get away from that and I want to do something very relaxed. When there's a pause, when nobody's asking any questions or when I feel like it, I'll share something I've created. Could be something like this. and hopefully that will stimulate questions. So I'm looking for questions. So ask me questions about anything that comes up. Could be something current, could be something timeless, universal, could be something about creativity. Anything that comes up at any time, please ask me a question. That's what a satsang is about. Satsang, the word satsang exists already. And it's, well, I mean, any word means lots of things to lots of people. As I understand satsang, the way we see it, the way we experience it sometimes is there's some guy sitting down somewhere, sharing stuff. I was going to say spouting stuff, sharing stuff. And then there will be a moment when there are questions. And the guy, obviously it can be a guy, it can be a gal or a guy, who has something to share on something, will share some stuff. And people who want to listen will come to listen. And they will ask questions on the topic in hand. Normally it's a spiritual topic. Satsang is strongly linked to spiritual traditions where there's some sort of guru. I prefer guru in the sense of a teacher rather than some of the connotations where it's like some weird sort of cult figure with people kissing their feet and stuff. I like guru in the definition of a teacher or a spiritual teacher. And my definition of teacher, the one that I like best, is not someone who tells you what to think. The gurus or the spiritual teachers or any sort of teacher, the ones I appreciate the most are those that don't tell you what to think. They don't even tell you what to know. They ask questions to make you ask questions to find your truth. For me, that's the only kind of teaching you can ever do, is helping others to see things more clearly. Okay, many traditional teachers teaching traditional subjects will know stuff, and the object of their teaching is that their teachees or their students will, by the end of the course, know the stuff that they know. That's fair enough. It's one vision of teaching. It's a traditional vision. Well, traditional in recent decades. But I'm not a fan of this. I used to be, but I'm not so much a fan anymore. I mean, I do teach stuff. I teach photography, writing. I'm going to start a writing masterclass. I'm doing a teaching I'm doing a photography masterclass at the moment. I've taught English for many years. But again, in English, the most fun was asking questions to get people to discover the answers themselves. This is a nice modern way of teaching, is asking questions. How can someone learn by being told something? They might remember it, but my definition of learning something is that they discovered the answer for themselves. And they can only do that by being asked questions to make them think about what the answer might be. So anyway, that's all sort of vague sort of stuff. And but that's kind of what this is as well. I was talking about what a satsang is. Someone who has something that they want to share, and often it's in a spiritual setting or sense or context. We'll share stuff, not telling people stuff, sharing ideas with the intention that people will ask questions. And that's what I want you to do here. I want you to ask me questions. I've got stuff to share, but it's only stuff from my life. There's no pretension there. You have as much to share as I have. I just happen to have decided to share it here and now. But that's all it is. And as I said in the introduction, and that I wrote on my page near this video where you're watching it, you can ask me questions, but I won't give you answers. I might even ask you questions, because I can't give you answers to your questions, because I'm not you. I don't know what the answers would be for your questions, for you. But I can possibly guide you towards the answers that you have to your questions, if you see what I mean. So in order to stimulate questions, I'm going to share some stuff. So let me share my screen again. And because I want this to be focused on creativity and whatever comes from that, I will be sharing my creative stuff. Actually, I did want to share you something that I created, a silly little thing. I created this the other day. Who is expecting me to show up today? So I was in as I said, I'm going to put a thing on the screen which says, ask me questions, and then maybe someone will. Who else have we got here? Oh, we've got some other comments. Alice says she's watching. Hi, Alice. Thanks a lot. You must be getting a bit sick of me by now. So glad we don't need StreamYards, says Karen. Okay, well, StreamYard isn't too bad. It's letting me be here. And Alice says I'm watching. That's nice, Alice. Thanks. So yeah, you'll see this is a very different feel to the other places you've seen me. And I'm going to put this. Is that it? Yeah, there it is. If you ask me questions on facebook.com/𝗖𝗥𝗘𝗔𝗧𝗜, I should be able to see them. And that's what I'd like you to do. Let me see if I go over there. Yep, it stays there. That's cool. And if I show a question, it replaces it. Marvelous. Life is good. All right. So, yeah. Well, here's an example. I was talking in some group. It's called a mastermind group. It's one of those places people get together and, I was going to say chat. I will, and chat about what they're doing in life and try to help each other. And sometimes there's a structure and there's someone who's in charge, and sometimes it's a bit freer. I'm not such a fan of when it's structured and there's someone in charge, but actually, to be honest, it often goes better when there is. And someone shared this with me. They said, here's something I have on my wall that you guys might appreciate. And she said, ask yourself, who is expecting you to show up today? And I thought, that's good. And I've got this little lifelong project because I tend to buy 1 million business cards every time I have a new idea, because they're cheaper if you buy 1 million than if you only buy 500,000. So I've actually got about 1 million of these little cards, blank on one side and with my latest project on the other. So one of my newest projects is what the fuck to do with the blank million blank sides of these cards, which is a pretty good project actually. And one of them is putting cute little things on like this. And so I wrote it, who is expecting me to show up today? I really like that. And then I thought, okay, well, that's fine. I'll put it somewhere and look at it from time to time. And then I thought, well, you know what? I'll put it on my Facebook page. Why not? Why not? And I did. And I normally get about 1 like on my slaved over, blood sweated, you know, my entire heart poured into texts and photos, possibly 2 if my mum's watching. Actually, no, she doesn't like my stuff. And all of a sudden I had about 20 appreciative little, you know, thumbs up on this. And I was thinking, wow, that's funny. Here's this thing I scribbled. I'm like a grown man of 54, coloring in letters with felt tips. Hello. So why would that be more interesting to people than one of my fancy pants, you know, nicely designed feel-good phrases? And there was my face there as well. And, you know, for some reason that got people liking it. And so that made me think, you know, authenticity, get on there, be yourself. And I was also talking to a friend who's a coach, kind of coach person. And we were discussing about what is it that people appreciate most about us? And also in the business context, how can you be more successful? And there's this huge feeling about being authentic these days, you know, be yourself, don't try to be somebody else. And if you like, there's that, you know, hackneyed old phrase, be yourself, everybody else is taken. And it's actually true, of course, and you can't be anyone but yourself anyway. But I was thinking about it more deeply, you know, what does it mean? Can I be it? Can I be myself? Is it possible? I mean, is it possible to earn a living being myself? Can I encourage others to be themselves as well if this is a good thing? And my coach friend actually ended up by saying, yeah, but that's what you do best, being yourself, which is kind of a silly thing to say, isn't it? But having said that, I started thinking about this, and maybe that is something. It's just ridiculous, isn't it? I'm really good at being myself. How ridiculous is that? And yet, you know, there are quite a few people, they come across as, you know, they do a video and it looks like they've just finished reading the how to do a professional video on Facebook manual. And then I kind of switched the things on, and I've got my scruffy thing that used to belong to a girlfriend from 30 years ago. And the lighting is the way the lighting is. And yet I kind of feel okay about that. It doesn't seem to worry me. And I'll do a video holding the phone up in a field with my arm like this, being blinded by the sun. So I don't know, maybe there's something there. So, you know, I am looking for ways of spreading something effectively. And if people are telling me that just be yourself, you're quite good at that, then I guess that's what I'm going to try and do. And maybe there's a niche there. You know, this famous niche thing, you buy books on finding your niche. I fought against niches. Maybe my niche is helping people to be more themselves. I don't know. What do you think? So I called this a satsang, not a satsang, because I want this to be based on creativity. And the word satsang, I love the concept, but I didn't like the fact that it was somebody else's word. So I called it sabsang. So this is pretty cool, actually. It's a nice reminder. Because there's a really nice way of looking at things, especially when you're thinking of doing something that you should, and it would actually be quite helpful to people, but you can't be bothered. And that is that you're actually being selfish if you're not sharing your gifts. I like that idea. Selfish in that other people might want what you've got to offer. And if you're not sharing it, then they're not going to have it. And it's that thing about doing something just in case one person would appreciate it, just in case one person would get something out of it. Isn't that enough? But if you don't do anything, if you don't do it, then even that one person, out of those 100 that ignore you or don't like you, even that one person wouldn't find you. So I think there's something to be said for humbly showing up without pretension, without, oh God, I try not to hate actually. So anyway, I hate it when you get these marketing people. I mean, we are bombarded on Facebook, bombarded by marketing, let's face it. And the ones that make me laugh, one of the ones that make me laugh the most is when you get these people, I'm kind of in the coaching world, and you get these people and they start their blah, blah by saying, they call me the coach's coach. And I think, yeah, whatever, please, or they call me the someone something. And this always gets me. But having said that, you've got to earn a living somehow. So how do you get your message out there without being an awful sort of marketing hypey type of person? You see the most wonderful people with such wonderful things to give. And it's clear they've just done some marketing course on how to join. Okay, what you've got to do is you've got to join all the Facebook groups your potential clients hang out with their problems, and you slip in there. And you don't do anything at first. You don't promote your business. You give helpful hints, very generously, and you say, "Oh, I'm intrigued. Could you tell me more about that? Oh, I'm curious." Oh my God, these days, whenever any other coach contacts me and says, "I'm curious," get me out of marketing hell. Soft marketing. Anyway, yeah, just be yourself. I prefer, what I prefer? I prefer it when people do their thing. And it's not about helping me. It's about doing their thing, They like watching birds, they watch birds, but they do it with passion. They like playing the ukulele, they play the ukulele, for crying out loud, but they do it with passion. If I see someone's passion, I want to know more about them. If I see someone slamming marketing in my face, I want to get away from them very, very far. So I don't think you'll ever hear me. I don't know what I'm about to say here. I mean, I just want to share and I want to connect. And I think, things will happen. Things will happen by doing that. If I see someone who is sharing stuff that they're passionate about, I will want to know if there's any way that they do something that I could actually get involved with. That's the way I work. Other people, marketing, it does work for some people, but anyway. So there we go. I'm now going to show you some stuff that I've created recently. This was one. And I do want you to ask questions. That's the idea. I don't want this to be a blah, blah. I want me to be responding to you. So if you have a question about anything to do with creativity, productivity, then please ask. Good. Oh my goodness. I've got comments. Thank goodness for that. I was getting so bored with my own voice. All right. Okay. We've got, this is good. I feel like a real chat show host. Hello, just catched you live. Well, yeah, I'm kind of red because I'm in the heat here and I've got too much on and sometimes I turn it off and then I get too cold. Anyway, yeah, here I am, Sabine, thanks. I haven't seen you around for a while. So here I am. Yeah, absolutely. Ask questions about creativity or anything else. Lespina, I'm curious, why is this live so late? Ha, ha, ha. Late, is it? Well, I don't know. It's a time I'm awake. The windows are closed so as not to let the plague in. So I don't really know what time it is. You know what? I'll tell you why it's so late. It's because if I didn't do it now, I would have had to do it tomorrow. And tomorrow never comes. So I said to myself, I'll just do it now and see what happens. So your question is kind of a funny one, but it's a very, very profound one, because the only time I'm going to give you some cliches here, but they're ones that have actually worked for me. Cliches are cliches because often there's really good sense in them. So it's like 1 o'clock in the morning. Why on earth am I not in bed? It's because I wanted to do something now that counted for me. I had an idea and I wanted to do it. I wanted to make it real. In about an hour or an hour and a half or however long this goes on, and you're not obliged to stay, just hang out anytime. You can come any Sunday. If I do it on Sunday, come any Sunday, join in anytime, go anytime. If I hadn't done it now, when would I do it? Well, some other time, maybe, I don't know. But at least now I know I'm doing it. This is happening. Alice says, as one gets older, we tend to let others see our true selves and speak our minds. It is good to give people things to ponder and get feedback on opinions. I guess we're always getting older, even from age 1-year-olds are getting older and 10-year-olds are getting older. But I know what you mean. There's a kind of feeling that I saw somewhere the idea that there's a million theories from a million people, but one that made me smile, I thought it was quite cool, was that you can divide life into two halves, and another half where you take this off because you're getting too hot. The first half is where you're absorbing, and the second half is where you're emitting. It's you kind of wonder what you're supposed to do, don't you think? Once you've had kids and stuff, or once you've gone past the period of your life where you are absorbing stuff and you're desperate to learn and you want to get qualifications and stuff. What do you do after that? Because there seems to come a time when that's about it. That'll do. Can't I actually do something with these qualifications that I've spent so much time getting, or all these books that I've read? Isn't it about time? A lot of people, they get to the point in their lives they feel there's a book inside them. What is that about? I reckon that's this second half. These are all just games, mind games. But maybe that's the second half. You've absorbed so much up to here, you want to just get it out. And that's nice, because when we're born, we are helpless. We need like 100% input, even to make us believe we actually have a personality. And maybe we shouldn't. Maybe it's not a good thing to think that we're separated from the rest of everything. But that's the way we seem to function. So we get that for the first half of our lives, and then we maybe we produce kids, maybe we don't, maybe we get qualifications, maybe we don't, and then we start to feel a sense of wanting to give back. I mean, why do all these billionaires who set up their companies suddenly become the world's greatest philanthropists, giving? I mean, well, for a start, you could be cynical and say because they can. Yeah, but they still don't have to, do they? So we desperately need, in the second half, we need to feel validated. Once the kind of reason for living, in terms of sort of biological terms, we're moving past that. In other words, sort of biological age for having kids. I guess we kind of look for second meaning, new meaning. Especially as we kind of get towards the end, we're about ready to fall off the planet. We start. I mean, is that when spirituality comes along? We kind of need some support system to make us feel better, and maybe even pretend it's not going to happen, or I don't know. I mean, I've got my own ways of looking at life and death. One of my aims in life is to feel fine about wherever I am, including alive, dead, before birth, after death, during. That's one of my aims. So there you go. Yeah, I agree. I agree, Alice, totally. Julia. Hi, Julia. Saludos desde Venezuela. Abrazos. Todo saldrá bien. Great. So hello from Venezuela, and a virtual hug, I guess. Nice to have you here, Julia. Thanks. I'm not exactly sure where I know you from. I do know you from somewhere. Karen says, tomorrow you're talking about the Monday challenge, and if so, what time? There's a very practical question. The context is Karen is in this group. Let me show you the group she's in. She's in one of my creative groups, this one here. And it's the Creative Smartphone Photography group on Facebook. And yes, I'll do a talk tomorrow evening Karen, on the photographs that people have sent in for the last couple of weeks. Actually, we've got a couple of themes, and that should be pretty good. The time will probably be around about, it's normally in the evening, isn't it? About 7 o'clock or something like that. 7 in the evening, probably. My time, Paris time, Central European time, CET. Yeah. So this is an example of where I try to be concretely creative. I am forever bombarded by people who are pretty vague. They're getting all spiritual, all loving, all sharing, all, oneness and all the rest of it. But they just don't seem to be doing anything. And if they're happy, I don't have a problem with that. How could I? But I don't seem to be able to do that. I don't seem to be able to spend my life telling others to be happy. I want to show them stuff that I'm creating. And this is the concrete side. Photography, it could be anything, couldn't it? It could be photography, it could be cooking, it could be embroidery, it could be, whatever. But it just so happens that I like photography amongst a few other things. But if you don't choose one thing, you're not showing anything to anyone else that they can, we kind of, as humans, we kind of need, if we're spiritual beings, that's fine. But we still need concrete stuff, I'm still lifting a concrete, well, it's not concrete, a solid cup to my lips to drink pretty tangible milkless coffee because it's very late and there isn't any milk in the shops. This is kind of concrete to me, You wake up in the morning, if there's someone next to you, then you want to give them a kiss. It's kind of concrete stuff, isn't it? So spirituality is all well and good. But for me, I like isn't there some Buddha story? I'm not going to quote. I don't know anything really about spiritual people and that. I'm not going to be quoting. The only quotes that I'll give you are ones that come to mind, not ones that I've researched, and I've got a collection of them, but often good words do tend to come to mind. I find that's why there's no script. There never will be a script. So anyway, I like tangents as well. Didn't Buddha say something like, before enlightenment, you you fetch water and chop wood, and after enlightenment, you fetch water and chop wood? Life goes on. Life is life. It's what we seem to have. We're living this human experience. Whatever's going on, even, you can even get nutty one-upmanship in spirituality. There's different levels of sort of enlightenment. I mean, please give me a break. That's more ego games. So you'll find me rejecting being interested in and also rejecting all sorts of things, because that's part of the fun of life. So anyway, Karen, I hope that answers your question. Anyone can come along to the photography group. You know why I love photography and why I love writing? Why do you think that is? It's not just because I'm a geek and I like fancy, expensive technology, or it's not even that I do love images, but you know what? You can point a camera at anything. In other words, you can be interested in anything and you can interpret it in your own sweet way. I also love technology. I also love the old school things, but I've kind of gone past that. It's fun to know what the buttons do. It's fun to know if you turn this dial, this happens. Of course it is. This is the concrete side. But the deeper side is you can point your camera at anything. Why do I love writing? You can point your pen or your fingers on the keyboard at any subject at all, anything. You can explore life. That's why I love teaching English. Did I just say that? I used to love teaching English. Anyway, you can teach. The good thing is English, the English language, if you're teaching someone English who doesn't speak it, the English language is like the camera. It's kind of fun. It's got its, its nuts and bolts. It's got its structures. That's like knowing what the buttons do on the camera. But a language is for talking, about communicating. And what do you talk about? Well, you can talk about anything. That's why I managed to be an English teacher for so long. I could walk into that classroom. The underlying subject, the serious bit was, right, today we're going to, do the present perfect or something. But to do that, we're going to talk about this latest crazy pandemic, or we're going to talk about love, or we're going to listen to a song. So that's what I love about these larger passions, like photography. What's the big deal with photography? It's fun in itself, and it can be about anything you like. You can express your deepest feelings, passions, experiences. When I'm in Paris, I always say I go to Paris. I have no idea what I'm going to photograph. I wait and see what Paris offers me. And I pretend that it's Lady Eiffel, the Eiffel Tower. I call her Lady Eiffel. It's a bit cringeworthy, I know. But anyway, so I wait and see what Lady Eiffel is going to offer me today. Very often she offers me homeless people, which you might think is not so, funny. But my photography isn't about being funny. Life is funny enough. My photography is about seeing what life offers me. And it's the same with words. Where do ideas for articles come from? I've found a method where I write an article every day. I'll show you. So I published a photograph. This is this week's every day. And the photograph inspires a text, or a text is there already. And I will attach it to the photograph. Sometimes it's a bit of both. Okay, so for any photograph, I then play around with words. Something comes to me and I write, this happens to be about coronavirus, but I've kind of combined it with the photograph and other feelings and little bits and bobs. So, so what was I saying? I was saying, I don't know what Paris is going to offer me. I have no idea. If I did, if I knew what the future was, then would it be worth going on living? I'm not sure, to be honest. Would you want to know when your time is up? Would you want to know who you're going to meet tomorrow? Would you want to know what photographs you're going to take tomorrow? Exactly. I would dare to say that we can't know. We can't know. But even if we could, would you want to? Would you make that choice? I don't think so. I think that's part of what life is about. The fact that we have some say in it. The fact that we don't know what's going to happen. There's danger and there's excitement in equal measure. And if we don't have that, we're not really human. That's part of being human. So that's the way I like it. That's the way. I like it. Don't ever make me sing again. And there it is. Okay, so let's move on. It's so nice to have comments. Thank you so much. All right, so that was Lespina says, I'm jotting down your gems, but I have to go to bed. That's really nice of you. Well, it's recorded. Oh yeah, you don't get away from me that easily. And I will be sending you a question sheet with multiple choice, so you'll have to have watched it. Otherwise, I don't know, you fail. By the way, I don't believe in failure. That's one thing. It's a word I've eradicated from my vocabulary. The words, there are about 5 words I have eliminated from my vocabulary. This is in the context of being a human being, in the context of being someone who shows people how to take photographs, to write, as a creativity, I hate labels, by the way, but as a creativity coach, if I have to call myself something, anyone trying to do anything, I've eliminated, to all intents and purposes, the words success, failure, perfect, imperfect, and compare. Something like that. You might think it's a bit strange to eliminate the word success from my vocabulary. And yet, it's the flip side of failure, isn't it? So I've kind of redefined success. For me, a better definition of success is you had a go, you tried. That isn't tried but didn't manage. You tried something and you did something and something happened. Why do we need a further definition of success? It's like learning to walk. Isn't it the classic learning to walk, learning to ride a bike? You can succeed in riding a bike, learning to ride a bike, but do you fail when you fall off in the process of learning? I'm not so sure. I don't think so. And what's for sure is I know this is a cliche, but when a parent is watching a kid, their child, learning to walk, and around about the age of, let's say, 1, the child who's been climbing up onto the seats and it's like you're going to dive off a high board and or you're going to jump off a cliff, a parapet, and then suddenly, finally, they take that first step, and for a second, like a millisecond, they are not crashing down and then bam, they've gone. I mean, what does the parent do? Does the parent go over and shout at them for being such a useless walker? Well, no. They are over, like half of the country has now been phoned. She walked. Oh my God, she walked. So let's not get too precious about this. I think any attempt is a success. That's my definition, and failure is a very, very unhelpful word. Same with perfect and imperfect. I'll tell you something that irritates me, and it's my forum, so I will say things. I never say things to hurt, but having said that, some people you can laugh at, some people, can't you? All the while knowing that anyone can laugh at me if they like. I don't like to hurt, but sometimes you're allowed to have a personality. It's not like love and peace to everybody. I mean, how boring if you can't, make fun of. You're not making fun of people as such. You're making fun of life. When you laugh at someone, you're making fun of the human condition and how ridiculous it is. And if you're making fun with words, there's funny wordplay. That's cool. So I'm not going to be being Mr. Hippie, not offending anyone. But I never want to hurt anyone. Obviously, I've forgotten what I was going to say. Look, these people who talk about perfection and imperfection, there's this big, I was going to say current, I think that's French. There's this big tendency at the moment to accept your imperfections. Okay, there's another big tendency in our sort of self-helpy world is to realize that you're not broken. This I love. That's fine. Cool. You're not broken. Great. Because a lot of people think they are. For broken, read crap, stupid, worthless, below par, average. Yeah, I don't like this. This is moving towards failure, you see? So I'm not a fan of that. Let's get rid of that. But there's this thing about accepting your imperfections. What do you think of that? I'm just catching a comment. Karen says the only failure is the failure to try. You're still using the word failure, aren't you? But I know what you mean. We're on the same wavelength. I was saying something really profound there. Yeah. So accept your imperfections. No, I don't want to accept my imperfections. Why should I? Why are you telling me I'm imperfect? Isn't it a bit like that? Can we see it that way? Accept your imperfections. What do you mean I'm imperfect? I'm not saying I'm perfect as such in the sense of I'm the most beautiful, I'm the most intelligent, blah, blah, blah. That's not what it's about. Reject perfection along with imperfection. Just get rid of them all. So I know a lot of my friends in the sort of self-development coaching world, they are into this sort of idea of accepting your imperfections. You're supposed to look in the mirror and love yourself and all this sort of thing. If that works for you, then great, but why not just not accept the idea that you're imperfect? Where did that come from anyway? On whose terms? By what comparison are you not fine? Well, generally it's why it's kind of my fifth word that I reject is comparison. I mean, you can compare things, of course you can, but if you start comparing people, that's where it gets dangerous. You could say, oh, which apple shall I have? This one looks juicier, this one looks shinier, this one looks fresher, this one is tasty, I'm going to have this apple. I don't think that's too bad a comparison. But what about if you're comparing people? That's where it gets a little bit less simple, more complicated. How can you compare two people? And if you're comparing them, are you comparing them on what? On everything? On human beingness? Or on one tiny, tiny aspect of being human? Like singing better or writing better or, whatever. Then, you're kind of getting into dangerous territory, because someone gets a prize for doing one tiny thing, so what? If someone can swim faster than another, let's say 7 people in a certain pool in a certain country at a certain time, they get a huge prize, maybe money, and lots of people think they're wonderful. But I mean, that's such a tiny thing, in comparison to the whole of the world. Some little starving kid in Nepal might be better at playing some obscure kind of homemade marbles game than this Olympic swimmer. Who is the better human being? Please. I'm not saying that competition isn't fun. It's good to have challenges. Maybe that's what drives us. Maybe we actually biologically still want to kill each other, and sport is a way of replacing these kind of urges with less deadly ones. Okay, fine, but you see where I'm kind of trying to go with this comparison thing? It's pretty random, pretty random. You look at Roger Federer. Let's say he's one of the greatest tennis players of all time. I mean, things evolve, technology's changed. But anyway, so let's say he's one of the greatest tennis players of all time. You know how much of his life he has spent, his limited, precious life, this guy has spent hitting a piece of rubber with a piece of wood, let's say. Was it worth it, Roger? Really? Was it? Could you have been doing anything else that might also have been as interesting? I mean, I know it's not just the hitting of the ball with the bit of stick. It's the feeling of worthiness. It's the feeling of, supremeness. You get lots of satisfaction for being you. Maybe you get lots of money. Then you can give it to other people who aren't as well off as you. I know it's not that simple, but still, see what I mean? Karen says, haha, I have 20 years on you, so I'm closer to falling off the planet than you are. How do you know? Huh? How do you know? Maybe there's a bus out there with my name on it. But I'm not planning on going anywhere yet. Well, I haven't finished talking, have I? So that's right. Having too much fun. Great. Yeah. I mean, have fun. Have fun every day. It's getting hot. I'm not sure if the radiator's on. Let's see. I'm just going to, if it is, I'll turn it off. Yeah, it was on. It was on. So that means that's one of the reasons I'm so red-faced. And yeah, by the way, this is all about me chatting, you listening, and you writing comments and asking questions above all. That's what I want this to be, a satsang. It's based on stuff I've created because that's all I've got to base it on. But obviously it's nothing. The idea of this is not a monologue, although the forum is you don't talk. That's this forum. That's the way this works. Because in other cases, it works well as well. There's someone I want to hear, and I don't want some random guy coming on and then getting into some. So that's what this forum is. It's a place for me sharing, me encouraging, me talking about creativity, me talking about being as creative as you can from where you are now. There's no comparisons. Any attempt to create something is wonderful. And there's many ways to live a life. There's many ways to feel that you're living a meaningful life. And I've just found one that works for me for now, and probably only partially. But you know what? It's okay. It doesn't matter. And that is, I believe that being creative on a regular basis is a wonderful way to lead a worthwhile, to feel that you're leading a worthwhile and enriching and generous life. One of the first things you want to do when you create something is share it with other people. And it's yours. It didn't exist before you did it. That gives you satisfaction. Sharing it with someone, just showing it to them, gives you a feeling of connection. And that will make them happy. Normally, unless it's, awful. And And you know what? It inspires others to be creative as well. And that will make them feel happy because you feel good when you're creating. You forget time. You go into the zone. And what will they want to do when they finish writing their thing, or painting their thing, or baking their thing? Well, they'll want to share it. Can you imagine someone spending time baking a cake with a little secret ingredient, which they haven't told anyone about, and then eating it themselves? We're not made like that. We're not made that way. We're made to share. We're made to be together. We're social animals. We don't have a choice. So that's what I want this to be. I want this to be about stimulating creativity and everything else that goes with it. And of course, everything else goes with it. If you've got another way of looking at your life to give it some meaning, then that's your way. That's right for you. That's not right for me, and my way isn't right for you. I've kind of had this kind of battle with the idea of finding my life's purpose or meaning. I'm not quite sure where I am, but I do have some ideas. Anyway, that's for another story. Sabine says, I love your creativity, pictures and words. Say goodnight to all of you listening or speaking. My eyes are closing. Where are you guys? You must be in Europe. God, losers. Obviously, that's not a word that is part of my vocabulary. Come on, it's only 2 o'clock in the morning in France. What's the matter with you? And you know what? Monday is a very good day to start things on. So this is now Monday, and I was going to, hey, I've started this. Because I was going to say I was going to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning, and, because it's Monday, maybe next Monday. And I'll still try and start some new stuff tomorrow. I mean, later on today, but at least I started this. Yes, okay. And of course, it will be available as a recording. The only failure is the failure to try. Yeah, I know what you mean. And Karen says, you said earlier you were 54. I am. Yeah, I'm not quite sure what you're referring to. 54. I think I'm 54. Yeah. Yes. Okay. So I've been going for an hour now. The format I've seen for these things is between 1 hour and 2 hours. Can you imagine? But the thing is, you're not obliged to stay. But let me inject a little bit of bit more interest here. Let me show you this. This is my latest crazy plan, and the crazy plan is to start a new website. It's one of my hobbies. Every time I have a new idea, I start a new website. And this is, at some point, I'll start this, and it's for writing articles. I've got this writing masterclass that I'm planning coming up after my photography one, and I'm kind of thinking I should be writing more. I do write every day, and this is another way of just splurging out stuff, and I highly recommend you write. It's a really good way to work through ideas, to feel that you're moving on in life, and it's just great. It's just a great way to be creative. Instead of just absorbing all the time, please start emitting, start creating instead of just consuming. We're made to like that. That's why we lose a sense of time when we are creating, because our brains or our spirit isn't interested in time anymore, because it's so interested in what it's doing. Time is this kind of concept we think of when we haven't got anything else to do, don't you think? So I will try and give you as many and encourage you in as many ways as possible to create. Not all the time, you don't have to create all the time. You can be creative in many different ways, but just a little bit regularly. For example, every day, write something in a journal. It's great. Take a picture, paint something. So this is in waiting. I don't know when it'll be coming along. The website is sitting there just waiting for me to have time for content. And I've got this idea for 4 types of articles. The first type is an article on creativity. The second type is on productivity. Let's say the third type is on curiosity and some of the funny, crazy aspects of being a human. And the fourth type I was thinking of, based on the word infinity, which is one of my favorites, is about the deeper stuff. The more woo kind of things, like why are we here, and what's it all about, and what is infinity anyway? I mean, if you were able to voyage so far, so quickly, etc., that you got to the end of the universe, how would you know when you got there? And what would be on the other side? I mean, would it be like some, flipping great wall. You get to this wall at the end of the universe and you think, is that it? Or, is there something on the other side? Or I know that some of the answers are a bit more sophisticated than that. I think you'll find it's a little bit more complicated than that, Sab. I know that. But that was what I was asking myself when I was a kid, What do you mean infinity? How can it go on forever? Well, yeah, but what's at the end of forever? It just, head explosion, smiley. And these are such wonderful things to think about, aren't they? So that's my idea for my next crazy creative project is starting to. I've had this website ever since websites existed, lazypig.com. I think it's fantastic, but I've never found the right use for it. And I'm hoping this is going to be it, lazypig.com. How about that, eh? Works for me. Okay, Alice says, have to go, Sab, not to bed, a phone call. Go, Alice, go, for goodness sake. Don't spend your time absorbing all my crap. Go create. You never know, somebody else from the States might pop on who isn't in bed yet. Okay, so that's an idea that's coming. I've got this idea for doing articles. This is my creative smartphone photography group. It's about sharing photographs. Come and join us. Smartphone photographs. I learned photography on a big fancy camera. And then when smartphones came along, I thought, wow, you know what they say in photography circles? The best camera is the one that you have with you. And the smartphone's always with you. The quality was crap at the beginning. Now it's amazing. Plus you've got amazing apps. What isn't there to like? I'm going to create a new group, and that's going to be called something like Creative Blog and Article Writing. And I'll probably do a free 5-day challenge in May, and then I will do a writing masterclass along the same lines as my photography masterclass, 9 weeks. And I hope it'll be the only writing masterclass you will ever need to take if you want to if you like writing for yourself or on a blog or even articles for publication. I'm hoping it'll be the only one you'll ever need unless you want to get really specialized. And then in the autumn or fall, as the Americans say, and there's more of them than me, so who am I to argue? A creativity masterclass for the autumn. Again, 9 weeks, 9 is my number. And join me. It'll be amazing. Okay, so Alice has gone to bed, and it's just me and 3 people who theoretically are watching. Hello, hey, you, say hello. What else have we got here? Yeah, this is my smartphone photography masterclass. Oh, actually, let me show you some of these pictures. So on Sunday, I have a showcase Sunday. And this is where anybody with any photographs they want to share. That's it. Okay, it's your photographs. It's not anybody else's. You have to put a comment with them. This is not a photo dumping ground. This is like, there's plenty of those. And I'll tell you why I say that. Because just dumping a photograph with no comment in a group is not creative. And it's not human. There's no connection there. I want creativity and I want connectivity. So when people post a photograph in the creative smartphone photography group, I want them to add a little comment, a little bit of humanity, why they took it, what they like about it, a question about it, how they were feeling. This is what being human's about, not just dumping your photographs and nobody comments, nobody cares. So Showcase Sunday is about posting any photographs. I hope they don't mind me sharing these. Anyone can join the group. So this is a selfie taken in a different way, isn't it? You see, that's what I encourage, doing things differently. From a very good friend of mine, 𝗜𝗡𝗙𝗜𝗜. And she said, last week's sunset, I thought it was creepy and beautiful at the same time. Yeah, I have to agree. It is. It's absolutely stunning. And I don't even think she's played with the colors. Absolutely incredible. Pink and gray. Isn't that a lovely combination? And look, if you look here, there's actually some purple clouds. Can you imagine? Purple's kind of my favorite color. And so we had a few things there. But in another one I did called Window One Wanderers. This was a theme I started a couple of days ago thinking, well, a lot of us are stuck inside at the moment with the coronavirus. And wouldn't it be nice to be able to share? But what can you share, especially photographically, originally, new photographs stimulated by this post? And then I thought, well, it's kind of obvious, isn't it? The view from your window. So that was the theme, the view from your window. And I had a window photograph. This isn't my window, it's a Paris window. But this photograph actually did, for me, when I took it, it also stimulated or inspired a poem, which is there. I'll get rid of this just in case you want to, at some point you want to stop the video and actually read the thing. How do I get rid of this banner? Okay, so I reckon if you stop the screen, you can actually see that. I'm going to get rid of this as well. This give me a little bit more space. So that inspired a poem, and it inspired a meme. And I think I said earlier that I hate memes. What I hate about memes is when someone shares a meme. It's not their photograph, it's not their words, they don't add any personal comment. I'm just thinking, why? Why? And that's another story. But what I thought was, I'm sick of getting other people's secondhand, million-hand memes. I'll create my own. That's creative, isn't it? Pat on the head. And so I thought, okay, well, what does it mean? Well, it's a nice image or an interesting image with interesting words, theoretically interesting or profound or funny words. So that's it. I've suddenly got a new challenge for life. Create meaningful memes. And that gave me a new outlet. And you can do it too. All you have to do is take a photograph on your smartphone, play around with it if you like, and then add some words which are yours, not somebody else's. Do you know how easy it is to be original? It's easy. I did this experiment in Google the other day, and I decided to type some words, poetic words. Well, I mean, just words, but words which could have been from a poem. And to see how quickly Google told me that there were no matches. And I wrote something like, sly dragonflies dusting the dawn, or something like this. Nonsense, but poetic nonsense. Sly dragonflies dusting the dawn. I like it. And Google returned no matches, 0 matches. Great, you know, in 2 seconds flat, poetic line, never been written before. It's possible, folks. And there's a lot of words in English, not to mention other languages. You know, other languages are available. So do it. How cool is that, to send a meme and it's yours? You did it. You know, you created it all on your little lonesome. Fantastic. And it's going to mean so much more to other people too. Don't you find that? If someone makes you something, it's so much more meaningful than if they bought it in a shop. So memes, your own memes, is a great way to be creative. Anyway, so what did this inspire? Anything? Oh yeah. Turns out a lot of people were just waiting to share pictures of their windows. From humble to almost spectacular. I mean, how sweet is this, you know? It's just a simple window with simple curtains, with the sun behind it, you know, the source of all life streaming through. And this is the same lady, Ingrid, and it might be the same window, but a completely different take. Look at the way the sun is just exploding, you know, through that. Is it a reflection? It could be a reflection, couldn't it, in that window? Yeah, it must be a reflection. And some beautiful effects there. That's lovely. All from the simplicity of her place, a simple window, and yet those rays of sun are actually lighting up a lot of other people's lives. And so it went on, you know. This turned out to be quite popular. That's a view from a window. This is from Yanara. Wonderful capture there of a simple, well, it's not really a simple window, it's absolutely gorgeous. I think she's played around with the colors. You've got a lovely blue frame with a red frame around it, nicely framed at the top with green. Red, blue and green, you know, that's the classic television cathode ray colors, isn't it? You could look at the screen very closely at the tiny little dots, and they were all blue, red and green, and it was amazing to wonder how they actually produced moving pictures. That's from another time, folks. And windows with words on, not a fluttering lark or linnet. That was a quote from Emily a letter Charlotte wrote after the death of her sisters Emily and Anne. You know, you learn stuff. I'd never heard that before. It's amazing. It's a meme from another time, you know. And another one, and that was me. That reminded me of a poem from like 20 years ago. Can you believe it? This was the picture of the window from an old Paris flat I used to live in. And I'm sure I put a link. Yeah, I put a link to the poem as well. There it is. Let me show you. Ask me questions, by the way, if you have any questions about creativity, productivity, life, the universe, anything. Croissant. Yeah, this is for my poetry site. It's called mysticrhythms.com. And you know, just that idea of the window took me back to this. Because I wrote this 20 years ago, I'm now, when you create today, think of your future self and how nice it would be to look back on today and have something to remember, you know, something. I've got this poem, and it's actually from 1999, so it's over 20 years old. And can you believe I was into, like, well, it says window. As I stare out this window bright, I get a really awful fright, 'cause clear as day, across the way, there's someone staring right at me. I try to hide, I try to run, I try to show I'm having fun, but clear as day, across the way, there's someone saying, "One are we." It's actually remarkably profound for little old me 20 years ago, but then again, I wasn't that young. So write today and you'll be right glad you did tomorrow. That's all I'm saying. And what else can I share with you? I'm going to put up my little question thing saying to ask me questions, because maybe that'll stimulate you. So this is, if you've just joined, thank you, welcome. I've been going for an hour. Can you believe that? And I might be going for another hour. It's going to be once a week, I hope. And I'm calling it a satsang. You might have heard of the word satsang, and that means it's often a spiritual thing. You've got some kind of spiritual teacher or guru in the sense of, hopefully, teacher, not of weird guy that has his feet kissed by people. In the sense of someone who has something to share without pretension, not because they want others to know what they know, or they want others to believe what they believe, but because they want others to think for themselves. And that's how I want to do this. That's what I want. That's how I want this to be. I'm not calling it a satsang. When I did it before, I thought, right, I'm going to call it a satsang. Then I thought, that's too pretentious, you know, satsang. I went back to calling it a satsang. And then I thought to myself, as time went on, I started thinking to myself, look, hang on a second. How original are you trying to be? How much you are you trying to be? Call it a damn satsang. It doesn't matter what other people think. It's more you. It's a word that didn't exist before. That pleases you. It shows to others that you can be yourself. So, you know, all these things going around in my head. So I'm calling it a satsang now. You know, it doesn't change what it is. It's just a bit of fun. It's a bit more personal. It makes me smile. And it's a way of showing other people that they too can be creative and original very simply. I changed one letter and suddenly I'm doing a satsang, which didn't exist. And instead of satsangs, everybody does satsangs. You know, all these people do satsangs, fine. I don't do satsangs because I'm not a satsanger. I'm a sapsanger. All of these things I'm saying, they're only to inspire or to make you think, what could you do that no one else has ever done, which you have never done, which are simple to do, and which you'd like to know what would happen if you did. What about calling your thing this instead of this? This is kind of, you know, it came from this book of things to call things, but you always really wanted to call it this. You've always had it in your mind or your heart to call it this funny thing. But they advised me on this course to well, maybe I could possibly help you to take the decision of following what your intuition is telling you for a little while and see what happens. And if it's more you and less them, it's probably the way to go. So I've got a couple of other things I wanted to show you. These are my photographs. This is how I present my photographs. Let me go back a chapter so you can see it full up. You see, this is this week, so it's in progress. It's a work in progress. If I go back, this is from the site 𝗓𝗡𝗜𝗓𝗜𝗜𝗓. Somewhere there's supposed to be a button where I can go back. I've lost my button. Oh, there it is. And I'll show you a full week. It's not actually a week, it's 9, because I've adopted 9 as my funky number. As you can see, I'm on volume 2, book 1, chapter 9. I've tried to be original with this. I like the number 9. I like the idea of squaring numbers, you know, the little 2. So 9 is obviously 3 times 3, so 3 squared. I like the idea of infinity. I like the idea of infinity squared because it's ridiculous, because infinity is already infinity. And so I've started to arrange everything I do in grids of 9, 3 times 3, as you can see here. So a couple of years ago, on the 1st of January 2018, I started a new project. I didn't know it was going to be a new project, really. I just thought I'll start taking photographs every day and see what happens with the text, writing a text. And I'm still going. And I'm at number 800 and something now. So that worked for me. I didn't know it was going to work, but it did work. And you know why it worked? It worked because that's the thing I did when I was supposed to be doing something else. And that was a pretty good sign for me. And the fact that I'm still doing it, I'm someone who has the attention span of a thing that has a very, very, very short attention span. Fly? 14-year-old? I don't know. But I mean, I flipped, boom, 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 boom. I'm doing it now. I still do it. It's just that I still do these. So if you want one tip on what you could really develop something great at, well, what do you do when you're supposed to be doing something else? That's it. Do that. Do that more. Do that with more passion. Give yourself more time to do that. And you never know. It might end up, being the way you earn your living, the way you become famous, the way you just feel good about yourself. Who knows? So that's what's happened with this. I started 810 of these ago, and for some reason I didn't stop. It is what it is. And I present them as grids of 9. The grid in itself is supposed to be kind of nice to look at, hopefully, but it doesn't always work. I mean, like here, there's 2 of these panels next to each other. I might have, if I'd realized, I might have arranged them differently. So actually, my creativity has gone larger than the photograph. It's moved out to the panel itself. I try and have the corners balanced, some sort of coherency amongst the colors. Of course, the photographs are first. And then practically there's, if I need a photograph, I need a photograph. And I can't always choose. But I do try to make the grid nice as well. And yeah, there we are. I'm planning on doing a special Facebook Live on my photograph page, my 𝗓𝗡𝗜𝗓𝗜𝗜𝗓 page, I think, or in my photography group, where I talk about each photograph specifically. So I don't need to do that here. But so I'll talk more generally about photographs here. I mean, I spend a lot of time doing photographs, so I will talk about them. It's just, it won't be, like an hour me talking about my photographs. And you can see, though, the influence of things like the coronavirus is showing here. This one in the middle, let me tell you about that. So if I go down here, I can actually blow them up individually. This is lovely, and this is an opportunity to share. This is also a demonstration of how ideas spread, like TED Talks. I'm just wondering if I need to get rid of this comments thing here. Yeah, a little bit. So this is from a friend of mine, an internet friend of mine called Jackie. And unfortunately, her family, several members of her family suffer from a hereditary disease called Huntington's disease. And it's quite rare. And it is kind of random. It's like if you have it in your family, you're not sure, like 50% you're going to get it or not, or you can live for many, many years and then all of a sudden it'll like click on and suddenly you've got it and that's it. So it's very tragic, very, very sad. And you degenerate, you become less and less able to eat, swallow, talk, think, and live. So Jackie recently lost, I think it was her brother. And as a way of coping with that, she decided to get creative. And as a sort of brackets, I would say that in many of my low times in life, I have managed to create something which has helped me through it. I've also been extremely destructive in certain areas, such as drinking vast amounts for many, many years. I'm not going to say I regret it, but I'm not going to say that it helped either. But even in those times, I was still able to create. I would write a poem. I would take photographs. I mean, it was basically that, to be honest. And Jackie decided to, can you imagine, in the depths of her hurt and this pain and this uncertainty, she decided to create a little mascot for the Huntington's Disease Society. She's created, I'm not sure, yeah, I think she created hers, but there's also other organizations. She does this thing on Facebook called Hounds for Huntington. I think it's with a 4, Hounds for Huntingtons, something like that. You'll find it. And she decided to create a little mascot because she's got a dog. And so what she does is she, finds people or they find her, and she will create your own little doggy in your colors. So it could be the colors of your football team, of your country. I like rainbows. And I said kind of jokingly, hey, you could do me a rainbow one. Well, there it is. She did. And it's wonderful. I mean, here she is. She's called Sybil. Okay, now that's one side of her. Now you're already getting rainbow colors. You've got a purple here. You've got blue. She's got an orange nose. Okay. The ears are green. Right, so we're missing 2. We're missing yellow and red, right? Okay, so you turn around and hey, she's yellow. And I was thinking, oh, she was like this. Oh, what a shame, it's missing red. And then I realized that underneath her ears, it was red with yellow thread. I mean, so much detail. It's so cute. And can you imagine the love and the heartbreak of losing family members, like several family members close? She says she's managed to survive by doing this. And look at this. I mean, I wasn't expecting anything. And look at this as well. Can you see that? There's a rainbow. There's a rainbow of hearts that she's sewn on. Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple. So much work, so much effort, so much love to give to somebody. So obviously I'm talking about it and I'm taking pictures of Sybil. The idea is, it's like, I don't know if you ever saw Amélie Poulain. I'm not sure what it is in English. The Incredible Destiny of Amélie Poulain, something like that sweet but cookie French girl who runs around Montmartre looking for someone, photo booth and anyway, she has a gnome and she sends the gnome. I think she sends the gnome around the world. And the gnome suddenly sends postcards back to its owner, a lonely guy or something, who gets his gnome with postcards from all over the world. It was something like that. Well, Jackie's kind of doing the same thing with Sybil. This is Sybil on tour. And she's sending it to anyone around the world who will help publicize this terrible. It's about awareness. It's not even about giving money. It's about publicizing this terrible disease, so that people are more aware, they can be more sympathetic and understanding, and maybe help research as well. So that's what's happening. She's got photographs of Sybil, the new Sybil, to people's specifications from all around the world. And now she's got Sybil on tour in Paris, and each Sybil has a name as well. This is Sybil Rainbow. And so there you go. I'm just promoting it one more time. So I put her in a photograph. I'm planning on doing a series, maybe a grid of 9 photographs with Sybil and various Paris landmarks. and but I couldn't resist. They're not ready yet, and it was pouring with rain. But I couldn't resist doing one. And this is I wrote some text saying something like, "Walkies, my God, yes, anytime. What a silly question." And the street is 𝗬𝗓𝗑𝗜𝗓𝗜, very humble street, God Street. It's called God Street. And there's a guy going on walkies, and there's Sybil, and that inspired the text. And it was a chance to talk about the disease. Shall I read it? Walkies, oh mon Dieu, woof. No need to even ask. My name's Sybil Rainbow, and I ran all the way from yonderest Yorkshire to test these trendy Parisian trottoirs today. Trottoir is pavement. And yonderest is an invention because it begins with Y, like Yorkshire. I lived in Yorkshire for 3 years when I was at university in Bradford, so I've got fond memories of Yorkshire. And those memories will stay with me for the time being. I think I was supposed to be studying for 3 years, but then I discovered pubs. My message is one of support, hope, and love for victims of Huntington's disease and their families. It's a cruel and unpredictable affliction which leaves sufferers less and less able to cope, and in the end, they simply leave us. My mistress Jackie made me specially for Master Sab, knowing he loves rainbows, and told me to ask him to tell you to visit Facebook's Hounds for Huntington's and find out more. She'll make you a brother or sister of mine to your liking, if you'll offer some awareness and Sybil on tour actions and fun photos. Dog bless you. So that was my little bit. This, in case you're watching and you've just come along, this is a Sabsang. I'm just starting them again. I used to do something similar, but now I'm doing them again. Slightly new look, new style, new me. You know, we're changing all the time. We're not the same person from second to second. And I'm going to stimulate your creativity through mine. That's the idea. I'd like this to be a nice place, a warm place, an exciting place, sometimes a stimulating and maybe even contentious place for all I know. Everything I'll share and talk about will be done with love, with wanting to promote connection. The world is desperately needing connection. I will show you a new project I have on connection, specifically connection, linked to my paintings, which I've just started. I'm really excited about. And you can see what you think. So this, if anything, it's about creativity and it's about connection. So what I'm going to share with you now, okay, there's my photos. If you like them, I publish a new one every single day on facebook.com/SabParis. So there's stuff every day, words and photos. Please check them out if you would like to. It's always nice to know that, people see them and sometimes like them, and maybe it makes them think. My stuff is sort of contemporaneous splurging on any old stuff, but it's often about deep and meaningful stuff. Sometimes it's about creative stuff. Sometimes it's about frivolous stuff, humorous stuff. I try to be funny. I think being alive is kind of a funny state to be in. So I let that come through in my writing as often as possible, and sometimes in my photographs. I don't take myself at all seriously unless I'm taking myself very seriously, but they generally happen simultaneously. I'm going to show you a new website that I've just created. It's called 𝗖𝗡𝗙𝗜𝗓𝗏. I too see life. I to see life. Will it recognize it, or does it need the W's? I think it might need the W's. Come on, make an effort. So it's called, the I2C comes from infinity squared connective. The infinity squared connective, if you will. And the idea is that I paint on little squares like this. Sometimes I paint on big squares, but At the moment, I'm concentrating on little squares. If you want a big one, I can do a big one for you. But they're 9. They go together in sets of 9. And they're desktop size. They're really fun. They're amazing. They are puzzle paintings. The paintings can be arranged in many different ways. They have no beginning and no end. They're called infinity squared puzzle paintings. They're a fun game which isn't as easy as it seems, and they're also a very profound metaphor for life. Not bad, huh? So I thought, that's all very well, you're having fun with that, but how much are you connecting? And I was thinking, well, not enough. So I thought, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to open my paintings up for adoption. Okay, you see there it says adopt 1, adopt 2, adopt 3, adopt 4. This is, you can adopt these pieces, 1 of 9. And when you adopt a piece, you are one of 9 people who together have a complete infinity squared painting. So for example, here is a complete infinity squared painting, but it's broken up into its constituent parts. It's mixed up. So if you push them together like that, it wouldn't make a coherent painting. But if you twisted them around and put them in the right way, it would. If you adopt, this sounds like I'm promoting myself. Of course, I kind of am, like we all are. But I'm doing a project with someone in Australia, and I'm going to do Australian themed infinity squared paintings, and I'm going to put them up for adoption, the pieces, and the few euros that will come through the adoption will go to plant trees in Australia. So I'm really excited about that. Anyway, this one is just for standard adoption. It costs €9 per piece and postage and packing, which is 12 euros. And you adopt something and you become part of the infinity squared connective forever, just by adopting one piece. So it's not really a for-profit thing, it's a for-connection initiative. Take any one of these 9 squares, any one, and you put it in any orientation down in front of you. That's the middle square. Okay, can you imagine the middle square? You can build the painting around it by putting the other 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You can put the other 8 around it, whichever one you chose, and it will make up a coherent pattern with no breaks with any of the 9. Because my paintings, they're called infinity squared paintings. They have no beginning and no end. Doesn't matter where you start, you can always create a complete painting. They're fun, they're textured, they're full of strange elements, they're colorful to look at, or pure. This was a red, black and white theme, but as you can see, I have put another one up for adoption and it's more colorful. Okay, and those pieces look like this. Okay, they look like this. So they're fun, they're colorful, they're lovely little things to have. They fit in your hand or your handbag, and you keep them forever. And they are symbolic of the people who also have a piece of the same puzzle. And there will be, if you can imagine, there are 4 people who have pieces that touch yours. 1, 2, 3, 4. There are people, it won't be this one, because I just picked it up like that. There will be 4 people who have pieces that go here, 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 and here. So you are somehow infinitely connected to those people without even knowing it or knowing them. But haha. And of course, you're also connected to people who have the corner pieces. So 9 of you are connected through this infinity squared painting. But it gets more fun than that. I'm creating games which allow you to try and build the painting virtually. And you do that by each person who adopts a puzzle piece will have the right to contact 2 of the touching pieces, people pieces. But there will be 2 who you can't contact until they contact you. Okay, so 2 people will have you as someone to contact, and you will have 2 people to contact. So if everybody contacts everyone, it'll go into a big circle and all 9 of you will know each other. And that's one way of winning the game, you see. If you decide not to contact your 2 people, you will break the infinity squared chain. And that's not the spirit of the game. The spirit of the game is you get 2 people to contact and you contact them with an offer of something, an offer, not for asking, for giving. And you can just give them a friendly greeting. That's fine. There's no obligation. The only kind of obligation is to contact them, because otherwise, what's the point? This is about connecting. It's the infinity squared connective. You're only ever obliged to adopt 1 piece, and you can belong to the infinity squared connective forever. You are only obliged to ever contact 2 people. You're not even obliged, obviously. No one's going to arrive and say, have you connected them? But the spirit of the game is to connect the 2 people you are given to connect. And you will be connected by 2 people. And they will be strangers, probably, unless you've got your friends to adopt and you happen to get 2 pieces which are next to each other or in the same puzzle. Because another part of the game is you can't choose your piece. The piece chooses you. Isn't that fun? The piece chooses you. In other words, you will receive your piece when you adopt, but you don't know which one it's going to be. It might not even be from the ones here. For example, if they happen to have gone and I'm putting a new one up for adoption, you might get one from that. You don't know. You can't know. That's symbolic of the kind of randomness of life, the fact that things happen, you don't know what they're going to be. Your puzzle piece will be a surprise, but you will be able to connect 2 of the touching ones. And you'll be able to see it build, actually. I'm trying to imagine a way that you can see it build until you've all connected everyone, and then you can see it build on part of this site, part of the 𝗖𝗡𝗙 site, 𝗖𝗡𝗙 life. I chose the suffix instead of .com. I chose .life. I haven't created a site which has got the suffix .life before, and I thought that went very well. You know, 𝗖𝗡𝗙 life. It's like me too, 𝗖𝗡𝗙 life, or it can be an I. Maybe this is almost like an I which lets you see more about life, that there's more life out there than you realize. This is supposed to be with you forever as a symbol that we are all connected to each other, even when we don't seem to be. This is not alone. This has 4 pieces directly connected to it, and they always will be. You will forever be connected to the 9 people, the 8 people who have the 8 other pieces. And I think that's a beautiful symbol. I would like to spread this idea to schools, for example, to groups of people. It could be friends who would like to have a painting and they each have one of the 9 pieces. I think that would be a beautiful way to symbolize a friendship. And I think it would be nice in schools as well. It's a puzzle, it's fun. It's not as easy as it seems. It's not just a puzzle with 9 pieces, because every piece can be connected on all 4 sides, you see? So it's not your standard puzzle. So even grown adults can have real problems and even get frustrated because they can't get it. Can you imagine a 9-piece people and people go nuts? Excellent. It's exactly what I want. And it's also a metaphor for life. This painting with 9 pieces can be arranged in any way you like. And if this is your life, it's symbolic. You can remember. You don't like the way your life is right now. Knock the damn painting over. You know, split your life up into little pieces and change a few of them. Change your house, change your job, change your kids. The point is, you can rearrange things. You don't have to get rid of things and bring in new ones. You can just rearrange things. You know, you can turn the painting round. There's no up or down to my infinity squared paintings. They don't even have to be horizontal or vertical. They could be at an angle. They don't have to be in a square. You could take one piece, put it over to the edge, and just have it like that. The edge will continue, but the painting's no longer square. You don't have to live in a box. So that's my infinity squared paintings. And my latest initiative. I was kind of frustrated because I wasn't contacting enough people. I wasn't in touch with enough people. And I thought this would be a great way, an easy way, an affordable way for people to get involved. It's a very small contribution. Honestly, I won't make much or any money from this, and certainly with the time involved, zero. But the number of people that could be connected through this is literally, almost literally infinite, which fits in very well with my idea. So all you have to do is click on one of these. You see the price there, it's 12 euros. It's symbolically 9 euros plus postage and packaging anywhere in the world without insurance, I'm afraid, is about 3 euros. So with that, you also get a pack of stuff. Like you actually get some, I'm planning on sending 2 or 3 postcards, which are actually full 𝗖𝗡𝗙𝗜𝗜𝗜𝗜 paintings. You can cut them up into 9 squares and you've got a game. You've got a full game. So you're not frustrated just by the 1 square. You've got 3 full 𝗖𝗡𝗙𝗜𝗜𝗜𝗜 pictures that you can cut up and play with. And maybe a little 𝗖𝗡𝗙𝗜𝗜𝗜𝗜𝗜 bookmark, a little message from me, that sort of thing. So it'll be a really lovely thing to do. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm excited. And I saw someone did a video the other day who was promoting awareness in this time of the virus and everything. Well, the rest of the world hasn't stopped. People are still sick with Huntington's disease. Australia is still having problems with the fires and the aftermath. The kangaroos and the koalas still haven't got anything to eat, and so on. So she was promoting tree planting in Australia. And I thought, that's fantastic. And I used to live in Australia. I lived there for a year when I was a boy. I've got wonderful memories. So I had this idea. I'll do some Australia-themed paintings and I'll offer them up for adoption with some Australia motifs. I'm not an artist, but I can make motifs, like of Australia or maybe. And I thought I would call it the Burnt Paw Project. The Burnt Paw Project. I saw some heartbreaking images of animals, with burnt paws and being treated. And one of the symbols, the floral symbol of Western Australia where I lived, was the kangaroo paw. I think it's called the kangaroo paw. And it's a lovely plant which has a kind of thing like this at the end. The flower actually looks like this, sort of reddish, beautiful flower. And it's also a bit like a kangaroo's paw, which probably doesn't surprise you given its name. And I thought, great, the Burnt Paw Project. So I'm going to start that next week. And anyone who's involved, you can be part of my 𝗖𝗡𝗙𝗜𝗜𝗜𝗜 project with all the fun and depth and deepness that I told you about, plus contribute to planting trees in Australia. And what you will contribute with your 𝗖𝗡𝗙𝗜𝗜𝗜𝗜 puzzle piece will certainly pay for some trees to be planted in Australia. And they're planting trees which are the sort that the animals that need them can eat, like koalas and kangaroos and things. They're planting those trees. It's not any old trees. So it's a wonderful initiative. It's a wonderful way of bringing people together. There's no fun doing things on your own, and I'm fed up with it. So that's why I'm going more and more in the direction of connection. Creativity used to be my key word. It still is, really. And yet connectivity is becoming more and more important to me. That's why I've just created this website called 𝗖𝗡𝗙𝗜𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 Half my websites have got the word creativity in. I've had enough with that. Half of them have got infinity. I still like that. But I wanted one with connective, something to do with connectivity. And now I've got it, 𝗖𝗡𝗙𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 So I hope you will actually get involved in that. It's not a money-making project, except a handful of euros. And I would like more and more of those handful of euros to go towards a cause which I'm connected to. As you can imagine, the time that it takes, I'm actually going to do a series of videos, probably 9. Guess why? Yes, there are 9 pieces in an 𝗖𝗡𝗙𝗜𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 So obviously the number 9 is very important to me, very symbolic. And I'm planning on doing 9 videos. And each of those videos will show a step in the creation of the Australia Burnt Paw paintings, which will help to plant trees in Australia. And I've divided my painting process into 9 steps. So it'll be pretty obvious for you, how the paintings are done, step-by-step process, and you'll see them evolving from utter raw materials. I'm just wondering if I've got one of those raw materials here to show you. It's quite funny when you see just how raw the raw materials are. I did have. Yeah, here it is. This is the raw material, you see. Just some scruffy old piece of board, roughly cut with a saw by me. And it turns into things like this. You see, beautifully, nicely finished, lovely colors, finished on the back, or something like this. So it's original artwork in its own right. Even as a single square, I think I will sign each square on the back as well for the 𝗖𝗡𝗙𝗜𝗜𝗜𝗜 Connective project, so that you have my signature, so you know it's an original. Even though normally on an 𝗖𝗡𝗙𝗜𝗜𝗜𝗜 painting, as you can see, there's only one signature normally. I won't put it on the front. I'll put it on the back, probably in white. And you can see, you know, it's its own tiny little artwork. You can even put it on a tiny little easel, which you can buy. And people will ask you about it, and you can tell them. You can tell them how fun it is and how beautiful and symbolic it is. So I'm going to do 9 videos, and those 9 videos will show the stages of me going from a bunch of these to a bunch of these. And then I hope there will be enough interest generated. If you can share, that would be amazing. Share these videos and share the idea that we will be able to let them adopt all of the pieces that I'm going to do. I'm thinking of doing 9 times 9 paintings, which is 81 pieces. So that could be really a lot of trees for Australia. Anything you could do to help share this idea would be wonderful, including adopting. All you have to do to adopt is go to the top of this page, you see, and click on adopt 1, adopt 2, adopt 3, or adopt 4. You can't adopt all of them because that would be a single painting and there wouldn't be any connection except for you. So that's not what the project's about. But I do want people to be able to adopt more than one at a go. Otherwise, it's very, very small, and, you know, with the PayPal charges and stuff, it's almost not worth it. So you can adopt up to 4 pieces. But I would like them not to be just for you. I would like them to be for you and 3 other people, because otherwise it's not really in the spirit of the thing either. So that's a kind of honor thing. If you want to adopt 2 pieces, adopt 1 for you and give the other one piece to someone you care about. And I have to tell you, they probably won't be connected. They might be from different paintings, so that you're not actually connecting directly to the person you give it to. But you are connected symbolically because you both have a piece of an 𝗖𝗡𝗙𝗜𝗜𝗜𝗜𝗜. And if you want, you can actually buy a painting of mine, a full painting, and split it up amongst 9 friends. If you want to do it that way, you can, for sure. But then you have to buy the whole painting on my 𝗖𝗡𝗙𝗜𝗜𝗜𝗜𝗜 website, which is 𝗖𝗡𝗙𝗜𝗜𝗜𝗜𝗜𝗜. It's actually infini2.com, which is French for infinity, infini. So there it is. That is the story of that. Now, how are we doing on time? I've actually been going for about 1 hour and 43 minutes. And I was thinking that 2 hours is actually pretty awesome. I had quite a lot of people before they went to bed. So there is potential for me to be going for a couple of hours. And I don't want it to be as such a fixed beginning and end time, but I think 2 hours, if I have a lot of people asking questions and I've got a lot of creativity, I should be able to do it. Otherwise, it could be an hour. I think over 2 hours would be too much. And I want you to know that you don't have to watch the whole thing, obviously. There's not really, as with my paintings, there's no beginning and no ending to my paintings. There's not really a beginning and an ending to this as such. You can jump in anytime, and it may be that what I'm saying is interesting. I'll jump from subject to subject. I'll have a comment to make on whatever question someone has just asked me. So feel free to jump in for 10 minutes and see what I'm talking about, or to jump around. Okay, there's no real beginning or ending. So I'll carry on for a little while just to see what happens. See if anyone asks any more questions or anyone catches me. With Facebook Lives, the longer you're on, there's more chance that people will see you. For example, I had quite a few people earlier. Now I've just got one person. If you are that one person, why don't you say hello? Because I don't know who you are, and it would be nice to have a message from you. If I don't know if I'll see you or not, I might, who you are, if you just say hello, because normally for me to see your name, you have to have gone to streamyard.com/Facebook, streamyard.com/Facebook, and accepted the thing, and that allows your name and your picture to come up. So if you want to remain anonymous, you can, or if you want to do that, you can, or if you send me a comment, you can just say, hi, this is so-and-so, and I've been watching you. You don't have to, and perhaps the person actually doesn't really exist, and it's just someone who's forgotten to close their window and they're not actually watching. So I've been going for about 1 hour and 50 minutes. Can you believe that? 1 hour and 45 minutes. Stuff I've got coming up this week is I'm working on my masterclass. I've got a photography masterclass happening at the moment. This is going to be the model for several masterclasses over the next coming months. So my plan is to be more focused. I'm going to focus on specific things. I'm going to focus on smartphone photography because it's such a wonderful way of helping people be more creative and enjoying their creativity. And of course, you can point a camera at anything. You know, it's not just about the photography. This will be the model. It's a 9-week masterclass, really wonderful. This will be the model for a 9-week writing class. It's not just, excuse me, oh my God. Oh, I think someone should go to bed. It's not, as the smartphone class is about creative smartphone photography, the writing isn't about any writing. It's not really about novel writing. It's not about, political writing or writing CVs. It will be about creative writing of short pieces. And there's a very simple reason for that. Can you guess what it is? That's what I do. I write short creative pieces. So the only thing I'm going to tell you about is stuff I already do. I take a hell of a lot of photographs and I publish one every day. So I feel that it's okay for me to do a masterclass on smartphone photography. I write every single day, short, hopefully quite creative pieces. So I feel okay about offering a masterclass on writing short, creative, written pieces. So it's not about anything else. But having said that, I mean, words are words, sentences are sentences, thinking creatively. If you write anything creative, it will probably help you a lot. But I think you get what I'm saying. I'm not pretending to be anything I'm not. I'm not even pretending that my photographs or my writing is anything other than it is. I'm not saying what it is. I'm not saying what it's like. I'm just saying it is what it is. If you happen to feel that looking at my photographs, you would like to work with me on making your photography more pleasing to you, then that's your decision. And I hope you will do that. If you read my stuff and you think you would like to work with me on making your writing more pleasing to you, then that's great. That's absolutely great. You see what I'm doing here? You see what I'm saying? I'm not actually saying anything about my writing or my photography. All I'm saying is I photograph and I publish a photograph every day. I write and I publish that article every day. Not one single adjective there to describe it, because that wouldn't have any meaning. Why should I tell you what I think of it? In what way would that be true for you? And that works both ways. And that's something that I will talk about in the masterclasses. No one can describe your writing, your photography, or your creativity in any way that has any meaning truly to you, because they're not you. Someone could say it's crap. Well, you can say, thank you for telling me a little bit about you. They could actually say, it's wonderful. But you could also say, well, thank you for telling me a little bit about you, because that's all they've done. It might sound nice. It might feel good if they say that they love your photograph. It might feel crap if they say that they hate your photograph. But in the end, you kind of need to reject them both, but that doesn't mean you can't enjoy someone saying that they like something. But you need to take it in the same spirit as if someone says they hate something you did. Appreciate it. Maybe appreciate the fact that they've been touched by it, but leave it there. They're telling you about them. They're not telling you about you. They're telling you about their reaction to something you've done. And one of the things artistic people want to do, creative people are trying to do, whether we realize it or not, is to touch other people emotionally, is to communicate something of what we are. So when we touch someone, when we cause an emotional reaction, we've won. It's worked. But we shouldn't be surprised if that reaction seems to be a negative one, as often as a positive one, because you don't know what emotion you're going to stir, do you? How can you? But we want to stir emotion. That's the thing. We have this desperate need to stir emotion, to connect. That's why I'm doing the 𝗓𝗡𝗎𝗓 connective, to connect. I'm hoping and I'm assuming only cool people will get involved, because I feel the project, the 𝗓𝗓𝗎𝗓 connective project, is a very positive, giving, loving project. So I won't be surprised if the vast majority of people who get involved in that are wonderful people, by my definition. But in some cases, you can't choose who is touched by your stuff. You know, you put some stuff out there, you let it go. It's kind of out there on its own to fend for itself. You know, you put it on a gallery wall, for example, a painting on a gallery wall, and you're not there. You don't know who's going to come in. It could be a critic who writes something horrible about you as easily as they write something good about you. And you know, a lot of humans seem to prefer writing negative things than appreciating things. Just look at the news, for example. But to protect yourself, change your point of view from, I hope they like it, and I hope they don't not like it. A lot of people, they judge their success by, if people like it, I've succeeded. If people hate it, I'm a failure. Change that. Look at it differently. Look at it from the point of view of, if I stir emotions in people with my creativity, I've succeeded. If I leave them cold, unaffected, ambivalent, whatever, I've failed. I told you earlier that I've eliminated the word failure from my vocabulary. This is kind of true, but sometimes we need to use it. It's a concept which is very common. But you don't have to look at the failure side of things. If you leave people untouched, they're not moved by it, you don't have to think of it as a failure. You can just think, well, obviously, you know, why should everybody like my stuff? But the more useful way of looking at reactions is, success means you've affected people. Success is when you get a reaction, and it doesn't matter what that reaction is. It could be positive, it could be negative, by whoever's definition you like. But that doesn't matter. As long as you're not doing something nasty, you know, as long as you're not doing something horrible, which is unpleasant and is hurting people, then it doesn't matter if it's positive or negative. That's what you need. That's what being an artist is. That's what being creative and original is stirring emotions without the slightest control over what those emotions are. Our goal is to stir emotions. That's the definition of our success. We touched people. They reacted. And of course, most of us would like to stir positive emotions. Put bluntly and plainly, most of us want other people to like us. As an artist, you've kind of got to move away from that slightly. You can still have people like you. It's still a pleasure to be liked. It's still nice to get positive comments, but you've got to move away from that if you want to truly create from a space and a place of true creativity. You shouldn't be creating on other people's terms. You shouldn't be doing anything on other people's terms to an extent, but especially in creativity. I mean, you kind of got to live your life on other people's terms to an extent, like with your family. But when it comes to creativity, pure creativity which doesn't really seem to have a purpose, like doing a painting, you could say it has a purpose. It might make some people happy, but it's kind of a purpose once removed. In and of itself, throwing bits of color at a bit of cloth, it's kind of weird. It doesn't really seem that it's going to put food in your mouth or stop you and your family by being killed by wild animals, which is kind of like a primary useful thing to do, isn't it? So in order for this creative act to mean something, it has to be pure. It has to be you letting yourself out in a way which it becomes a part of you. It's not really separate from you, because without you, it wouldn't exist, a painting, say. But then it's kind of like a kid that you have to let go. At some point, the child leaves the mother literally by being cut, and then more symbolically by leaving the family nest. And this isn't easy. Sometimes it's very difficult, but it has to be done. And a painting or a poem or anything that you've created is like that. At some point, you have to let it go to fend for itself. And if someone doesn't like it, or someone hurts it, or someone loves it, that's the way it's got to be. It's leading its own life. This is an opportunity to grow as a person and to touch others. But you have to do it in a way where once you've let it go, people don't have to react to it the way you'd like them to react to it. That's part of growing up. And it helps us to let go of things. It's part of becoming more mature. If we can let go of our paintings, maybe we can let go of people more easily when we come to the point where we have to let them go. It could be letting our children be more independent and do things that don't please us. And it could be letting people go forever in this form, which isn't easy. But if you've learned to let go, you've learned to let go of your creations and really not worry too much about what people say about them. Just be pleased. Find your worth and your pleasure in the creative process, in the moment of creating. That's the pure joy. You're creating something that will have an effect, that will touch others. That's the main thing. You can't control other people's reactions to your creations in the same way as you can't control other people's reactions to you. And it's kind of the same thing. So don't worry about it, and don't even try. As long as you're being a good person, you're trying to be a good person, you're creating something you hope will create interest and growth in others, in the world, and creativity in others, you've done your bit. You've done your little bit. Like the story of the hummingbird, that whilst all the other animals were fleeing the burning forest, it went back into the forest. Why? Because it was crazy? No, the other animals said, "You're nuts." What was it doing? It was taking a tiny drop of water in its beak and putting it on the huge roaring forest fire. And the animal said, "Are you crazy? How on earth is that going to stop the fire?" And the hummingbird's moralistic response was, "I'm just doing my bit. I'm doing what I can. And if everybody does what they can, we can change the world." It's like voting, I guess. One vote, you could say, doesn't change anything. But if nobody voted, nothing would change. If everybody voted, everything can change. If everybody was contributing their little bit of well-being, of positivity, of creativity, of joy to the world, it would change everything. So that's my argument for creativity. Just let me remind you what all of this is about, what this satsang is about, which I intend to do every week, probably on a Sunday. and not because of religious connotations, the Sabsang, more because it's the end of the week, so I've got something to talk about. It's kind of symbolic, and it's a day when I'm probably a bit freer than usual. This is a place to connect and to create, to inspire together. There's no judgment. It's a place to ask questions. I want to inspire with my creativity because that's all I've got. It's not a question of ego as such. It's more, that's what I've got and I want to share it. And above all, I want to inspire creativity in you because I believe that creativity, being creative on a regular basis, is a wonderful way to lead a worthwhile, enriching, generous life. And for yourself and for others. So that's 2 hours. I've got one faithful viewer who has probably fallen asleep, or it's on a computer that isn't being used anymore. But I appreciate all of you who have watched this, whether live or on the replay. Very much indeed. We need connection, and this is one way I'm trying to connect. And thank you for watching. Thank you for your comments. I really appreciate it. And I look forward to doing this again next week. And I've enjoyed it, and I hope you have. Even if you've watched a few minutes, I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you appreciate the spirit in which I'm doing this, a spirit of giving, a spirit of sharing, a spirit of creativity. And I'll see you all again. I haven't fixed a fixed time for this yet. That might be a little tricky, but I'll try to give you some advance notice of when it'll be. I'll do it on my open profile. I've got nothing to hide. And you can share it anywhere you like. Please do. Please look at some of the things that have interested you that I've talked about, especially my latest thing, which is the Infinity Squared Connective. I'll be promoting that on my personal profile. You can visit the website as well. It's 𝗖𝗥𝗘𝗔𝗧𝗜𝗓. Thank you, friends. It's been great. I've really enjoyed it. I hope you have too, and I'll see you again soon. Bye for now.